honourable member for Calgary Foothills.
Madam Speaker, the government continues to play footsie with separatists. And Albertans are worried. They're already worried about the cost of groceries. They're already worried about just making it to the end of the month. The government's threat of separation is making it worse. Families know this will only cost the province more and risk their paychecks being less. As the Premier dances with separatists, can the Finance Minister tell us today what would the economic impact of separation be?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, you can't model rhetoric. I know the economists would say that. I know I mentioned that in our estimates. But I would say this. The entire country is under great economic strain. I believe in what the Premier and our team has been saying, and many, is that Alberta is stronger as part of a united Canada. And I think the things that will make Alberta stronger will also make Canada stronger. I think we have great allies around the table to ensure that we can attract investment, continue to grow, find new markets and egress, and make life better for everyone.
The honourable member for Calgary Foothills.
Well, given that even the mention of separatism can cause negative impact,
That's right.
given that the former Finance Minister confirmed that a provincial tax collection agency could cost $500 million a year, given that an independent Alberta police force would be $1.4 billion over 6 years, given that an independent Alberta would also require its own border patrols, passports, diplomatic offices, separation would cost billions. Given that we are expecting Albertans to trust this government to navigate us through that process when they can't even manage health care, what are the real costs of separation?
That's right.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I believe the number I told you on tax collection agency was $1.1 billion, higher than that. I think what's important to see here is I've had that conversation with Quebec, and they've said, you know, if we were allowed to collect and remit on behalf of the federal government, we would encourage you to do it. They've asked for that. They haven't been granted that. So I don't see a need to pursue that. When it comes to the police initiatives under our Minister of Public Safety, that is something about filling a gap that is required right now. The federal government has came.
The honourable member for Calgary Foothills.
Given that First Nations outright reject the separatist agenda, and given a disruption to Alberta's resource industry as we know it could cost good-paying jobs and billions in revenues to the province, and given that this dangerous talk is all happening at a time when oil prices are already on the decline, and this government is forecasting a $5 billion deficit with no path to balance, can the minister right here, right now, state that the talk of separation is bad for our provincial economy?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
I think what the country needs right now, and I think what Alberta needs right now, is certainty. We're facing great global unrest economically. We're seeing it here. So that's what I propose everyone focuses on. The only people I hear talking about in this House are from that side of the aisle. I think if you want to talk about growing, I know in the Premier's First Ministers meetings, and I know in my conversations with federal colleagues, everyone is saying the same thing. Support Alberta. This is coming from the Maritimes. Unleash Alberta. They're the answer, not the problem.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When Dow announced the Path to Zero project in 2023, it was a big win for Alberta and a credit to the NDP government for creating the Petrochemical Diversification Program and the current government for keeping ND policy in place and not screwing it up like they do with coal mining our eastern slopes and corrupt care scandal. Dow has announced it is pausing investment in Alberta until after 2028 when Trump's presidency comes to an end. Does the Premier have a plan to replace those jobs, or is she too tired celebrating her big wins?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs, Economy and Trade.
Madam Speaker, I actually met the president of Dow's North American operations yesterday, and he was dismayed that the NDP and the media were mischaracterizing their delay of the construction as a pause. He pointed out the same thing I pointed out last week in question period, Madam Speaker, They're spending $2.5 billion employing 1,000 Albertans this year, and the project remains on track to be completed. Not only that, all of Dow's partners continue to build their portions of the facility. So, Madam Speaker, through you to the chair, it's not just a request from me now. Industry would also like it to be more accurate.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park.
Well, given that Dow announced it's pausing...
Hold on. Order. You may start again from the top. The honourable member for Sherwood Park.
Well, given that Dow announces a pausing $7 billion in construction on the largest capital project in Alberta because of an economic uncertainty created by the Mad King of the United States. Given that economic uncertainty is an industry killer, it freezes investment and scares away businesses and workers. The Minister of Finance just said that. Given that the NDP successfully supported pipeline development to diversify Alberta's market access with Keep Canada Working campaign, how do the UCP think they are going to diversify Alberta's economy by threatening to separate from Canada?
The honourable Minister of Jobs, Economy and Trade.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think this is a time for us to be unified in promoting Alberta to the world, and to promoting the many competitive advantages of locating major projects here. Unfortunately, the members opposite continue to mischaracterize this project as paused or cancelled, when in fact it continues with $2.5 billion to spend, with 1,000 workers working on it. Madam Speaker, through you to the chair, they should apologize and stop trying to harm Alberta's reputation for getting major projects done.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park.
Given Alberta voters understand the peril of pursuing a referendum on secession as a bargaining chip, the uncertainty discourages investment in Alberta, limits diversification of our economy, and polarizes the rest of Canada against us, i.e. the costs outweigh the benefits. Given that there is no reality in which the other provinces the UCP want to separate from will grant Alberta a pathway to diversify the markets for our products. Notice the difference. NDP, Keep Canada Working. UCP, screw Canada. How is the uncertainty they are creating with the threats of separation going to help Alberta in any way?
I'm not sure that was very parliamentary language at all, honourable member. Perhaps you want to...
Drama.
Thank you very much. That's awesome. The honourable member for Jobs, Economy and Trade.
Madam Speaker, I don't know what to do with that except to say that on this side of the House, we are making the case that Canada is stronger with a strong Alberta, and that is objectively true. We are also a proud member of Team Canada and have been on internal trade and labour mobility and even investment attraction. When I joined Team Canada on missions to Indonesia and the Philippines recently, I would encourage the members opposite to get on Team Canada and also on Team Alberta and stop telling the world that our projects aren't being built when they are and that people are cancelling projects when they aren't.
Oh my gosh. Honourable members. I'm actually surprised it took that long to do that. That concludes the question period. You have 30 seconds or less, and we'll continue with the rest of the routine.